fans getting swept away
And now Duclair scores!
as the Panthers punch their ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals. Ron DeSantis is officially a presidential candidate,
I have only begun to fight.
but the rollout didn't happen without difficulty. A warning from the Surgeon General
This is a real point of concern here.
related to social media. And Music World says goodbye to one of its most iconic voices. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Kenya Cardone.
I'm Amanda Gray. Today's Thursday, May 25th, 2023.
Live from the FIU Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
An end-to-end thriller as the Panthers and the Hurricanes pull off one last fight, ending in a trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. From being down 3-1 in their first playoff series, the Panthers make history with a truly unbelievable playoff run that takes them to the Stanley Cup Finals after sweeping the Carolina Hurricanes.
The network's Jared Parker is in the control center this morning with all of the exciting details.
The Florida Panthers and Carolina Hurricanes had a thrilling game that went down to the wire. Sergei Bobrovsky had another great performance, stopping 36 shots in the series-clinching game.
It's definitely great, but it's most important to keep your composure and enjoy the opportunity. And enjoy the opportunity and have fun. You know, that's the most important about, I think.
The Cats are headed to the Stanley Cup for the first time since 1996. They did it with a last-minute goal by Matthew Tkachuk, who scored with 4 seconds left to put the Panthers up 4-3. The Panthers won the series 4-0, completing their first sweep in franchise history. The Panthers went up 2-0 last night with a quick start, but Carolina equalizing the game at the 2 and 3 goal mark. But the Panthers just showed they could win in dramatic fashion again. The team's magical run nearly didn't happen, as the 8-seeded Panthers were down 3-1 against the Boston Bruins, who had the best regular season record ever.
We've been in tough situations all year, and we've never wavered. We were a composed team all year, and we had no panic there. We knew we were going to go and get it done.
Tkachuk had 2 goals last night, with Anthony Duclair and Ryan Lomberg scoring 1 each. The Panthers have 2 weeks to rest, with the Stanley Cup Finals starting June 8th.
The Cardiac Cats have earned their nickname, winning their last 7 games by 1 goal, and Cardiac Tkachuk scored 3 game winners against the Hurricanes. In the control center, I'm Jared Parker for South Florida Media Network.
Following a loss to the Celtics, tonight is Game 5 for the Heat as they try once again to wrap up their series. This time it's in Boston. The Heat lost Game 4 116-99, but are looking to fire back and punch their ticket to reach the NBA Finals. The Heat lead the series 3-1. Should the Heat lose, they will have 2 more chances to advance to the NBA Finals. Tip-off is scheduled for 8:30 p.m. on TNT.
The presidential campaign rollout for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis came with some technical difficulties. It's related to the new Twitter Spaces service. The network's Carlos Carrillo has more on what went down.
Do you go with the crowd, or do you look at the data yourself and cut against the grain? And I chose to do the latter.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis attempted to declare his candidacy for president in a unique way, with Twitter owner Elon Musk on Twitter Spaces, an audio-only platform plagued by technical issues at the start.
So they just keep crashing, huh?
Yeah, I think we've got just a massive number of people online, so it's servers are straining somewhat.
But server issues caused the rollout to be plagued with problems, with Team DeSantis tweeting, quote, "It seems we broke the internet with so much excitement. While you're waiting, donate now."
We must look forward, not backwards. We need the courage to lead, and we must have the strength to win.
DeSantis also asked about the NAACP issuing a travel advisory against his state, claiming Florida is not safe for minorities to visit.
Claiming that Florida is unsafe is a total farce. I mean, are you kidding me?
Wednesday's Twitter event, the latest move in DeSantis' presidential campaign rollout. He filed paperwork earlier Wednesday with the Federal Election Commission. On Tuesday, DeSantis' wife Casey tweeted a hype video encouraging supporters to sign up for campaign updates.
America has been worth it every single time.
DeSantis jumps in the Republican primary following months of speculation about the Florida governor's political future, fueled by a national book tour and visits to key early nominating states.
I have only begun to fight.
As the Republican primary fight intensifies, a new CNN poll shows former President Donald Trump leading the GOP field with roughly double the support of DeSantis and no other candidate in double figures. But the survey also finds the Republican field to be far from settled. More than 8 in 10 of those polled said they'd either support or say they're open to considering either Trump or DeSantis.
We have to reject the culture of losing that has infected our party in recent years.
South Florida Media Network, I'm Carlos Carrillo.
Today, the world is remembering music icon Tina Turner after her passing. Here's a look back at her career. She was simply the best. News of rock and soul icon Tina Turner's passing yesterday sent shockwaves throughout the world. Turner was known for her vivacious performances, even being hailed the queen of rock and roll.
That's my style. I take great songs and turn them into rock and roll songs on stage.
Tina Turner was born Anna Mae Bullock in rural Tennessee. As a teenager, she moved to St. Louis, where she met Ike Turner and started her music career. Ike and Tina got married in 1962 and experienced success on stage. Offstage, the situation was much darker. Tina was physically and emotionally abused by her husband for years.
I had a lot of violence. Houses burned, cars shot into, like the lowest that you can think of in terms of violence.
Tina divorced Ike in the mid-70s, fleeing her hotel room with just 36 cents in her pocket. She became an outspoken advocate for women's rights and was later hailed as a feminist icon. On stage, she was able to revamp her career in the early 80s and enjoyed critical and commercial success as a singer and actress. In 2021, Tina was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo act, adding to her long list of accolades. The 83-year-old icon passed away in her home yesterday, with her family releasing a statement that she died peacefully after battling a long illness. Tina was an advocate for the importance of resilience, and her words ring true now more than ever.
The calls you make this lifetime can be the effect of a better life the next lifetime. It will be better and gets better and better.
In a statement, Turner's representative said a private service will be held for her friends and family.
After having a high-risk surgery, Emily Murray is celebrating her daughter's survival from a rare brain tumor this morning. The network's Jillian Salvi-Cruz reports.
A St. Louis mother celebrating this morning after her baby, diagnosed with a rare, life-threatening brain tumor, survives.
We weren't able to get a diagnosis because she was so small, because of where the tumor was in her brain.
Elizabeth Marie was diagnosed with a very rare congenital brain tumor that develops in utero and only has a 7 to 12% survival rate. Elizabeth's neurosurgeon, Dr. Jennifer Strawley, says only few cases of tumors like hers have had a successful treatment and survival.
So in the beginning, while we were understanding how the tumor was acting, what type of tumor it was, we were dealing with a very serious diagnosis for Elizabeth.
Marie says the tumor was the size of a grapefruit and located in the center of Elizabeth's brain, making it unsure of what kind of impact it would have. Elizabeth was also diagnosed with mild right side cerebral palsy.
We said, hold on a second, how much of the tumor did you get? And she said, oh, we got the whole thing. And that, you talk about moments where you need a minute, that was a moment when I needed a minute.
Over the last few months, her cognitive development, speech, and fine motor skills have skyrocketed.
It really always felt like things were going to be okay, in a strange way, as dire as they actually were.
Jillian Salvi-Cruz, Kaplan News.
A community gathered together to reflect on the tragedy that struck 1 year ago in Uvalde, Texas. A gunman entered Robb Elementary School and murdered 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers right before summer break. Officials acknowledged the occasion and showed their support for survivors and victims. Despite this, questions about the law enforcement that day have yet to be answered.
Today, debt ceiling talks are still in the air, leaving the U.S. with just 1 week before the possible defaults. Democrats are aiming to raise the debt ceiling, while Republicans are calling for a budget trim before raising it past $31 trillion. With no deal in place, the U.S. could run out of money, making it unable to afford the $16 billion obligation for military and civilian benefits, as well as federal salaries due the first week of June.
The Marlins come out swinging in Denver.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
I'm very concerned now that social media is an important factor that is driving this youth mental health crisis.
And real action being taken to fight the mental health risks of social media. Newsbreak will be back in just 2 minutes.
See us dream. See us remember. See us protest.
You matter. Your feelings matter. Your identity matters. Everything about who you are matters.
See us fight back. See us rebuild. See us shatter stereotypes. See us inspire. See us united. See us now.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
The mental health risks of social media are mounting, and the government is taking them on. The U.S. Surgeon General is sounding the alarm this morning.
The network's Nicole Swed reports.
U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy is sounding the alarm, issuing a 25-page advisory laying out the risks of social media for kids.
I'm very concerned now that social media is an important factor that is driving this youth mental health crisis.
The advisory details studies linking social media to depression and anxiety, poor sleep, online harassment, and low self-esteem.
This is a real point of concern here. When nearly half of kids are telling us that social media use makes them feel worse.
Dr. Murthy is calling for more research into the impact of social media, and he's calling on policymakers and tech companies to take action.
This is pervasive. It is everywhere. And that's why it's so important that we support parents.
The White House is doing just that, mobilizing an interagency task force to identify current and emerging risks. The task force will also develop guidelines for tracking and preventing those risks.
Over the last year, we're seeing searches like how much screen time is too much for my kids, or how do I keep my kids safe online, increased by over 200%.
Google, meanwhile, is among the tech companies that say they have developed tools to help parents, including the ability to set hard screen time limits.
Actually setting up some hard limits help enable your kids to have a chance to wind down and have restorative sleep, which is so critical for adolescent development.
This is Nicole Swed, Kaplan News.
The Miami Marlins are back at an even record after their dominant win over the Rockies in Colorado. The Marlins' Yuri Gurriel had an outstanding game with 4 hits, and their pitcher, Sandy Alcantara, limited the Rockies to 2 runs in 6 innings. Colorado was the first to score, hitting a run in the first inning, but the Fish dominated from the 4th through the 7th. The final score was Marlins 10, Rockies 2, and the Marlins will face the Rockies today for their 4th game of the series at 3:10 p.m. And the Florida High School Athletic Association tweeted last night from the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Eagles baseball team that accomplished the impossible. The Eagles closed off a perfect season with a shutout victory shutout victory, in the state championship game against the Plant High School Panthers. The final score was 10-0, and the victory marks the Eagles' third consecutive state championship.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Amanda Gray.
And I'm Kenya Cardone. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.